Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare
Nadia.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome devotees to our morning Bhagavatam class. This morning we will be hearing from Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and he will be giving a class on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, verse 30. We request devotees to please to increase your volume because the recording sometimes can be a little down. So please to increase your volume. And if we can all try to really take one takeaway from this lecture so that we can share with each other at the end of the class so that we all can be inspired by each other's takeaways and also learn at the same time. So without further delay, we will start the lecture. Hare Krishna.
idam susarjagre bhagavan atma mayaya sad asad rupaya chaso guna mai aguno Gunamaya Guno Vibhu Sa evedam susarjagre Bhagavanatma mayaya Sadasadrupaya chaso Gunamaya Guno Vibhu
Saivedam sasajagri
Bhagavanatma
mayaya
Sadasadrupaya
chaso
Gunamaya
guno vibho Sasevedam sasajagri Bhagavanatma mayaya Sadasadrupaya chaso Gunamaya guno vibhu Saivedam sasajagre Bhagavanatma mayaya Sadasadrupaya chaso Gunamaya guno vibhu Sa that Eva certainly Idam Tasajya created Agre before Bhagavan
the personality of Godhead Atma Mayaya by his personal potency Sat the cause Asat the effect Rupaya by forms Cha and Aso the same Lord Gunamaya in the modes of material nature Aguna transcendental
Vibhu
the absolute
absolute
Translation in the beginning of the material creation the absolute Lord in his own transcendental position created the energies of cause and effect by his own internal energy
Saivedam sasajagre Bhagavanatma mayaya Sadasat rupaya chaso gunamaya aguno vibho. So, here is the information of creation. The creation is from a person not from the impersonal feature of the Absolute Truth. Creation, there must be brain. Otherwise, how there is question of creation? We are part and parcel of Krishna. We have also creative power. So, as soon as there is question of creative power, there must be a brain behind the creation, and brain means a person. Creation cannot be possible from void or impersonal things. We have several times discussed this point, that the government, this word appears to be impersonal, but actually behind the government there is a person, the president or the king, like that. So, this creation, cosmic manifestation, is possible through the creative power of the Supreme Person. Therefore, God cannot be impersonal. Impersonal feature is one of the manifestation of God. God must be a person. This is the conclusion. Sa eva idang, this cosmic manifestation was created. In another place it is said, aham eva asam agre. Before creation, there was God, Krishna. And when this material creation will be finished, He will remain. Therefore, Krishna or God is not one of these created, material created things. That is admitted even by the staunchest impersonalist Shankaracharya. Narayana para abhaktyad, bhakta abhakta, this mahat-tattva from which this material cosmic manifestation is there, but Narayana para, Narayana is above. That means above this creation. Narayana or Krishna is not one of the product of this creation. Just like our existence, we are one of the products of this creation. So Narayana or Krishna is not one of the products of this material creation. Therefore, it is to be understood that Krishna's body is not material. But the Mayavadi philosophers, they think like that Krishna is God, but he has accepted a material body. This is Mayavadi philosophy. But how Krishna can accept a material body? Because he existed before the material creation. Another consideration is that even if he accepts a material body, that is not material for him. That is also spiritual. It appears to us as material, but that is spiritual. Parasya Shakti Vividhaiva Sriyate. He has got multi-energies, and because he is spirit, complete spirit, therefore his energies are also spiritual. Shakti Shaktimato Abheda. There cannot be any distinction between the powerful and the power. So here it is clearly said that Saividang Sasujjagi Bhagavan Atmamayaya. Bhagavan created by his energy. It is not that Bhagavan is finished after this creation. The Mahabharata philosophy is that everything is God, therefore there is no separate existence of God. That is impersonalism. But here it is said that Bhagavan Atma Mayaya, he created this cosmic manifestation by his energy. Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avasishyat. His full energy, even it is taken away from him, is still he is full, he is complete. He is not exhausted. Sai Vedang Sasajjagri Bhagavanatmayam Sadasat Rupaya. The Maya is displayed, Maya means energy, that is displayed in two ways, material and spiritual. Material is asat and spiritual is sat. Asat means which does not exist permanently. Bhutta bhutta praliyate. It is created, again it is annihilated. Therefore, it is called sometimes asat. Asat means not false, but not permanent. So, this material creation is also manifestation of Krishna's energy, and there is another creation that is not creation, that is always existing, that is the spiritual world, Sanatan. Parastasmat tu bhava anya bhaktat bhaktat sanatan. That manifestation, that is internal potency. This is external potency. This material world is manifestation of the external potency of Krishna, whereas the spiritual world is the manifestation of his internal potency. Unfortunately, the modern advancement of education has no information what is that spiritual world. Here they have no information. They are concerned with this material world only. That is also not perfectly. But there is spiritual world. Jadgatyana nivartanti tadhama paramam mama. Krishna says there is another manifestation of his internal potency that is eternal, blissful and full of knowledge. Here in this material world means it is not eternal, not blissful and not full of knowledge. This is material. In the Vishnu Puran it is said, avidya karmasanga anya titya shaktirishat. This manifestation of energy is full of ignorance. The nature of this world is called darkness, tamasi ma, jyotirgama. So, sadasat rupaya chasu guna gunamai aguna. Krishna, when he is called aguna or nirguna, that means he is not affected by these material modes of nature, above material nature. We are affected, we living entities, we are affected by the material modes of nature, satagun, rajagun, tamagun. But Krishna is not affected. That is Krishna, difference between Krishna and ourselves. In the Bhagavad Gita, there is another instance when Arjuna asked Krishna. Krishna said, imang vivassati yogam praktaman aham abhyam. Krishna said that first of all I narrated this yoga system of Bhagavad Gita to the sun god. So, in order to clear this matter, Arjuna inquired from him, my dear Krishna, we are born very recently. How is that you narrated this yoga system to the sun god? Arjuna, of course, knew everything, but in order to clear our doubts, he raised this question. And Krishna answered that you were also present at that time, but you have forgotten, I have not forgotten. So this is another proof that Krishna's body does not change. Krishna, when he comes, when he appears, he comes in his original spiritual body. Therefore, Krishna has warned that avajananti mang mudha. The Mayavadi philosophers who think that Krishna has accepted a material body, they are described as mudha. They have no sufficient knowledge. Parang bhava vajananta. They do not know what is the power behind Krishna. So, Krishna creates. Before creation, aham adihi devanam, in the Bhagavad Gita it is said. Devanam, first of all Brahma was created, then other great sages were created, then other demigods were created. But Krishna says, aham adihi devanam. Therefore he is not a created being of this material world. We have to consider in that way. Aham sarvasya prabhava matta sarvang pravartate. The Vedanta Sutta Janmadasya Jata. So Krishna is the origin of everything. Aham sarvasya prabhava. Iti matya bhajanti imam buddha bhava samannit. One who knows Krishna, the Supreme, Adi Purusam, Adyam Purana Purusam, Navajauvanancha, his knowledge is perfect. If one thinks Krishna as one of the product of this material world, then his knowledge is imperfect. He is still in the darkness of this material creation. So, those who are in the darkness of this material creation, they consider Krishna as one of the human beings. As a great scholar says, when Krishna says, Manmana bhava mad bhakta mad jajimang namaskuru, the scholar points out that it is not to Krishna. It is up to the inner soul which is within Krishna. There is no within and without Krishna. Krishna, as we have got difference between within and without, Krishna has no such difference. And though one who does not know, they think, such person thinks Krishna as one of the product of material creation. That is not the fact. Saividang sasajjagre bhagavan atmamayaya sadasat rupaya chasu gunamai aguna vibhu. Vibhu. He is vibhu, we are anu. That is the difference. Krishna is vibhu, unlimited. We are limited. So we cannot be equal to Krishna. The Mayavad philosophy that there is no difference between Jiva and Bhagavan. There is sufficient difference. He is Vibhu, we are Anu. Anoraniyang Mahato Maya. He is the greatest of the great. And he is the smallest also. So, Krishna cannot be equal, or nobody can be equal to Krishna or greater than Krishna. Krishna is asamartha. Nobody can be equal or greater than Krishna. Everyone is below Krishna. That is explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ekola Ishara Krishna Arsa Bhrita. Only Krishna is the Supreme Master. Ekola Ishara Krishna Arsa Bhrita. Shiva Vrinchi Nutam. Even great demigods like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, they also subordinate to Krishna. They offer their obeisances to Krishna. Shiva Virinchi Nutam. And in the Brahma Samhita it is confirmed by Brahma, Ishara Parama Krishna. Ishara, everyone can be called Ishara. Ishara means controller. So, we are also controller of something. A businessman is controller of his business. I am controller of my disciples. There are so many controllers. So, in that sense, everyone is Ishara, in the sense of controller. But Lord Brahma says, Ishara Parama Krishna, the supreme controller. The supreme controller is Krishna. What is the difference between supreme controller and ordinary controller? Ordinary controller means that he controls and he is controlled, both. We are controller, but nobody can say that I am not controlled. We are controlled. But Krishna, he is controller but not controlled. That is the difference between Krishna and ourselves. So we cannot be equal with Krishna. We are controlled. I think in Glasgow, one boy, he was presenting himself as God. So I asked him whether you are controlled or not controlled. He admitted, yes, I am controlled. Then how he can be God? God is never controlled. God is controller, but he is not controlled. So if we take ourselves as so many samples of God, that is all right. But we are control God, not controller God. So that statement of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Ekola Ishara Krishna, Arasa Bhrita, Jare Jaiche Nachaye Se Taiche Kare Nitya. We are controlled in every moment. So Krishna is Vibhu, we are Anu. Never consider that we are equal to Krishna. That is a great offense. That is called Maya. That is the last layer of Maya. Actually, we have come to this material world to become one with Krishna. We thought that we shall become like Krishna. Krishna bhuliya jeev bhogovancha kore. Pasete maya tare japotiya dhare. Because we wanted to become one with Krishna, to compete with Krishna, therefore we are put into this material world. Maya tare japotiya dhare. And here in this material world, it is going on. Everyone is trying to become Krishna. That is Maya. Everyone. First of all, let me become a big man, then let me become the minister, let me become the president. In this way, when everything fails, then let me march into the existence of God, that may let me become God. This is going on. This is material, struggle for existence. Everyone is trying to become Krishna. But our philosophy is different. We do not want to become Krishna. We are trying to become Krishna's servant. That is the difference between Mahabharata philosophy and Vaishnava philosophy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us how to become the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. Gopi bhattu padakamalayo daso daso dasanu das. The one, a person who is the lowest of the servant of Krishna, he is first class Vaishnava. He is first class Vaishnava. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore teaches us Tinadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Sahisna Omanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. This is the Vaishnava philosophy. We are trying to be servant. We don't identify with anything material. As soon as we identify with anything material, we become under the clutches of Maya. Krishna Bhuliya, because as soon as I forget my relationship with Krishna, I am eternal servant of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jiver Sarup Hoy Nitya Krishna Das. That is the eternal identification of the living entity, to remain servant of Krishna. As soon as we forget this, that is Maya. As soon as I think that I am Krishna, that is Maya. That Maya means this Maya illusion can be rejected by advancement of knowledge. That is Gyani. Gyani means this is real knowledge, to understand his real position. This is not knowledge that I am equal to God, I am God. This is not knowledge. I am God, but I am sample of God. But the Supreme God is Krishna. Ishvara Parama Krishna. Arjuna accepted Krishna like that. Parabrahma, Paramdhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhava. Parabrahma. We may become Brahma. We are Brahma. There is no question of becoming. Aham Brahmasmi, this is not very difficult to understand because I am spirit soul. So I am Brahma. That's all right. But I am not Parabrahma. That is ignorance. I am not Parabrahma. If anyone thinks that he is Parabrahma, then it must be understood that he is under the clutches of Maya. That is this last snare of Maya. Therefore, Krishna says that when one actually becomes knowledgeable, cognizant, he surrenders. Bhaunam janmanamanti jnanaman mangs prabhadat. That is real knowledge. So, advancement of knowledge means to understand his real position and act accordingly. That is knowledge. That is perfection of knowledge. Simply to understand that I am Brahma is not perfection. You have to still go further. Simply to understand that I am Brahma, I have now realized myself as Brahma, that is not perfection of knowledge. Brahmabhuta prasannatma. One who becomes realized soul, self-realized, he becomes immediately perfectly joyful because our all lamentation is due to our material identification. Sochati kankhati. We are simply lamenting for our loss and we are simply hankering for some gain. This is material activities. Everyone is struggling to gain something which he does not possess and is lamenting for something which he has lost. But when he realizes himself that I have nothing to gain and nothing to lose, I have nothing to do with this material, that is called Brahmabhuta. That is Brahma realization. Brahmabhuta prasannatma. Na sochati nakan. Samas sarveshu bhutishu. At that time he realizes that all living entities, they are spirit soul. Pandita samadarshina. That is equal vision. Not the bodily vision. So long we have got bodily vision, there cannot be any equality. That is not possible. When one sees only to the spiritual existence of our living entity, then there is question of seeing equally, equal vision, universal brotherhood. That is possible. Not on the bodily platform. That is not possible. So, after acquiring this knowledge, the life of devotional service begins. Oh, Brahmabhuta prasannatmana sojati na kankhati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti lavate param. That is required. And in that stage of devotional life, one can understand what is Krishna. Bhakta mam abhijanati javan jaschami Krishna. Tattva. That is tattva understanding. In another place it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad, Evang prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogata. Unless one becomes jubilant, joyful, by executing devotional service, he cannot understand what is Krishna. It is not possible. So understand superficially Krishna, that he appeared in Mathura in his uncle's prison house. That is also nice. But one should try to understand Krishna in fact. That fact can be revealed by devotional service. You cannot challenge Krishna. Krishna will reveal. Sevanmukhi hi jivhado swayameva spuratvat. If we become Sevanmukh, if we try to serve Krishna as eternal servant of Krishna, then Krishna will reveal himself, what he is. You cannot understand Krishna by speculation, by mental speculation. That is not possible. Atasya Krishna namadi na bhavet grahyam indriyai. By sense perception you cannot understand Krishna. That is not possible. There are many versions of the saintly person. Just like Narottam Das Thakur says, Rupo Raghunatho pade hoibe akuti, kobe hama bujhavo se jugala piriti. A saintly person, Acharya, like Narottam Das Thakur, he says that when I shall be very much eager to understand the path of the 6 Goswamis, এই ছয় গোসাই যার তার মুই দাস. We cannot understand Krishna unless we have submitted ourselves under the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We have to understand Krishna in this way. It is very difficult to understand Krishna. But by the grace of the Goswamis, by the grace of Lord Chaitanya, we can understand Krishna. अथापिति देव पदाम्बुजद्वयं प्रसाद लेशान गृहीत एव हि जानाति तत्तं न चान्न एकोपि चिरं विचिन्न. Panthas, there are many shastric evidences. Panthas koti satavassa sampragamma vayurathapi manaso munipangavana. So, by speculation we cannot understand Krishna. That is not possible. By mental speculation, we cannot understand Krishna. We have to understand Krishna as Krishna says, or Krishna's devotee says, the Goswami says, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says. Then we can understand how this cosmic manifestation is created, who created, how it is created, everything will be clear. This is the beginning of such understanding. Saevidang sasajyagri bhagavan atmaya. Sadasat rupaya chasu gunamaya aguno vibhu. So, Krishna is transcendental, his position is always transcendental. Even though he appears before us, still he is transcendental. This is understanding of Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
That was a beautiful lecture by Srila Prabhupada. It's, and every time we hear a lecture by Srila Prabhupada, we are caught in the awe of how simple Srila Prabhupada makes such a complicated, supposedly a complicated verse, at least to me. And he makes it so simple and so like, very, very, very in layman's language. So I would like to hear from devotees. If you have any takeaways, any thoughts, please do share. Yes, Mother Geeta, please go ahead, Mother.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances, August to Srila Prabhupada. As always, a very powerful lecture. And I noticed that throughout the lecture, Srila Prabhupada kept stressing on the point that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No one is equal to him and no one is above him. And when we see this creation, we need to understand that there is a creator behind. If there's a creator, then must have brain. And if he has brain, then he has to be a personality. So he tried to defeat the philosophy on personalism. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. That was a very nice sharing, because I was even reflecting on the point, which was one of my takeaways, where Srila Prabhupada said the difference between an ordinary controller and a supreme controller. And I liked how he said, which really was powerful yet simple, where he said that the ordinary controller is one who controls, but he's also controlled. And I really liked how he said the other half of it, because, in Kali Yuga, we think that I'm the control, so I'm controlling people, but we never think about the aspect that we are also being controlled. So my takeaway from that point was when Srila Prabhupada says the ordinary controller is one who controls, but he's also controlled. So that was pretty powerful for me, because it's something that we seldom think about when we think of ourselves as controlling others, but we forget that we are being controlled. So that was my takeaway too. Thank you, Mother, for adding light to that. Would like to ask devotees if you have anything, if any one of you have a takeaway to share, a thought to share. Please do raise your hand, or you can just jump right in and share at least one takeaway from this amazing class by Srila Prabhupada. Another takeaway that I had, and if I could ask Vrinda to go a little up in the lecture, and I'll tell you where to stop. Just kind of go slow if you can. There's can you just stop right there, Vrinda? There was one point where he said that when one sees, it's something with equal vision. I'm trying to look for that verse. I really liked how he said it, and I'm trying to look for that. You can go up a little more, Vrinda. Equal vision. Yes, that one. So the second line where Srila Prabhupada said, and I had to read that line 3 times actually. When Srila Prabhupada says, when one sees only to the spiritual existence of a living entity, then there is question of seeing equality, equal vision, universal brotherhood. I really, really like that statement by Srila Prabhupada. I've heard Pandita Samadarshini Darshana so many times, but I really like how Srila Prabhupada says, when one sees only the spiritual existence of a living entity. So I was talking to a devotee yesterday, and I was telling him how sometimes we have to take time for ourselves, to smell the roses, smell the flowers, take a walk, and how it's so important, to do that, because when we get so caught up in the rat race of material life, we forget to take time and, what we call me time, and go out and go for a walk and really see the spiritual existence in the living entities, because we are so caught up in this crazy rat race that it doesn't give us that opportunity. So when I was reading this sentence by Srila Prabhupada, I was reminded by my talk with this devotee yesterday, how important it is that we take the time to really see the spiritual existence of a living entity, whenever we go here or go for a walk or take a stroll or take a drive or something. And actually really see also the magnificence of Krishna's work, the variety that's in this world, and the amount of variety of variegatedness that Krishna creates is like only a supreme controller can do that, not an ordinary controller. So that was one of my reflection too, was this amazing sentence by Srila Prabhupada. And to me, I felt that he was saying how important it is that we should only see the spiritual existence. That is when we can see equal vision. So that was my second takeaway. There is one here. Oh, from Vrinda, she says, I like the part where Srila Prabhupada mentions that Krishna is Vibhu, unlimited, and we are limited. It tells us that we are not equal to Krishna. Yes, that was another good point that also caught my attention is Vibhu. I actually learned a new word. Vibhu means unlimited. So I was happy with that because I don't learn much words. And this was a nice, simple word to learn. Vibhu means unlimited. And we are limited. Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that, Brinda. That was a nice realization and takeaway too, to show how limited we are. In fact, when you were sharing that, I was even thinking that we are so limited that we cannot even create that much of any kind of variegatedness the way Krishna does. I mean, there's so much variety in this world on anything and everything, And I was thinking about this. I was talking to a devotee a couple of weeks ago, how I was reading, and I forgot what it's called. It's a very old book, but I think it's called Radha Mahotsava, something like that. Very, very old book. And it says that Radharani, when she cooks a dish for Krishna, she doesn't repeat the same dish twice. That just shows the variegatedness in Krishna consciousness and the spiritual. I mean, that there's so much which is unlimited, which is Vibhu. So that was a nice takeaway. Thank you for sharing that, Vrinda. Any other takeaways from devotees? Any other thoughts, reflections, realizations? Please do share. You can definitely raise your hand, or you can just jump right in and share something. And if there isn't, just a humble reminder to devotees that we will have our Bhagavad Gita circle this evening at 6 o'clock. And it is the continuation of chapter 7, which is entitled the Knowledge, the Absolute Truth. So please do join us this evening at 6 o'clock for our Bhagavad Gita circle reading program. Until then, Vancha Kaplibhyascha Kripasindabevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Have a wonderful day, devotees. Hari